Right. Okay, so can everyone see my screen? It's not an interactive demonstration, but if you just give a thumbs up or something in the chat, then we'll see that. But you don't have to necessarily put your mic on and answer unless you have a question. If you do have questions at the end, I'm gonna ask that you, one, probably send that to me on the same form that I sent to you guys, because we're trying to track everything related to this test. So even though it's a question, I ask that you submit it on the external test form that I sent to you in the email for you to send to that email address that we provided in the chat. If you could look real quick in the chat, maybe at 2 something, I was on a little before 3. So if you look up in the chat, there is the email address that you should be using to send the test forms to, as well as the site that you will be going to once I give you the instructions and once you have the guidance to get to the site. So those things are, maybe you should either copy and paste it somewhere or write it down, but it was also in the emails that I sent prior. But for the most part, the email address that's there, that is the email that you're going to send all your feedback to. If it's a question, if it's a comment, if it's an issue, you're going to note that accordingly. And then the website, we're already on the website, which is USVI Public Portal UAT.vicourt.org. So the testing, first of all, I want to say that this is a testing opportunity for you and not training. The training on our upgrades will come later. So I just want everyone to, if you're on here and you're just staff and not an attorney, please pass this along to your attorney that this is not training. This is not the you're not going to be using the public portal right now, but this is a testing opportunity for you to a subset of testers to allow you to go into the test system, test environment, and test it, and then give us some feedback on it. The things that we look for in tests is if there's an issue. So an issue is if there's something that is not working as it should, meaning if you're accustomed to search for a case and see it and you can't see it now, things like that, where it's an actual issue or it appears as a bug in the system. If it is a concern or a question or a suggestion, we ask that you track those separately. So on the same form, there is a portion for you to submit or check off if it's a question, concern, or an issue. The issues are what we are most concerned about. We definitely want your questions and your concerns as well, but we have to track the issues separately only because we have a timeline to make sure that we could send those bugs or issues onto the vendor for them to fix and resolve before we go into a next phase of the upgrade. So that is very important. I want you to just kind of pass that along to, if you're on the if you're on right now and you're not the person, let's say, that's responsible for managing your office, please pass that along to somebody or whomever it is your office manager or the person that manages your legal staff. It's important that you send the test forms to that designated email address. Reason being is that we have all recipients, the IT persons, the necessary people on that email as a recipient so that we could troubleshoot and try to put everything in place timely enough that we could send it on to the vendor. I know that most of you are accustomed to sending your troubleshooting issues to me, but I ask that you please send it to the email address designated. And in the subject line, if you could put UAT error form / screenshots or something of that, something related to UAT. So UAT means user acceptance testing. So if you could put that in the subject line, and that way we could all review those emails as they come in. We kind of have some sort of system in place for us to review and track and then put those into what we call a Zendesk ticket, because it has to be put into a ticket to the vendor. So if you could do that daily, we're gonna ask that if it's something that you could do daily, please do it daily, because daily would give us an opportunity to more or less keep track, and then don't wait on until the end. The testing dates are gonna be from today. Well, at least from, we say today because I'm going to be finished with the demo and then allow you to go into the system. But the test dates for you guys, for the attorneys and staff, will be today until August 28th. We have a timeline to submit errors and issues to the vendor, and we can't cut it too close. So I know it kind of seems a bit short, but we're going to ask that if you can, if it's a group of you, I know like the AG's office, public defender's office, I have a few firms in St. Thomas and St. Croix that has multiple testers. If you could designate your tester to do like what we do internally, is we have a subset of testers testing for a period of time. So between 2 and 4, we have the clerks going up to a specific designated room and they're testing straight throughout that window of time. So if you could designate and assign someone to test at least every day for the next 5-6 days, that would be very beneficial, so that we don't have to wait until the end and then try to cramp everything in at the end. So for those of you who have large farms or you have a lot of staff that's going to be testing, this testing opportunity was not for everyone. So you may be speaking to another attorney, and those who assisted us with testing in the previous implementation. So when we first started C-Track, we did ask for a subset of attorneys and their staff to assist us with testing. A few of you were called back to assist us with testing. So this was not sent out to all attorneys. So you may be speaking with someone and they may not be familiar, but this was only sent to a designated amount of people. So if you are on here, I appreciate you being willing to assist us with the testing, because it's important. And I also ask that you pass it on to anybody else in your office who's going to be testing. If you have not, I did send an email. It was kind of late and I apologize for that. But if you have not sent me your IP address, public IP address, for you to be able to access the environment, I ask that you do that please today, because even if we do this demo and I try to give you the guidance and give you all the instructions, if you don't have that, if we don't have the public IP address, you're not going to be able to access the environment. So it is a test environment. We have to, basically, it's a policy that we have to be able to manage who's going into that, into our environment. So if you try and you get an error message, it's because we probably did not receive your IP address, and we need that for you to access the site. So for those of you, AG's office, public defender's office, we got you already. Everybody who's a tester on your end, you're fine. Anybody else that submitted a public IP address, if I said received or I acknowledge you, then yes, I have passed those on to our IT staff member who's assisting with adding you to the WAF policy. So today, if you can, please submit your public IP addresses so that you have access to the system. If not, like I said, you're going to get bounced back. You're going to get an error message, and then you're going to send us a email that's going to congest my email system and saying that you can't get on, but it's because we don't have you as part of our added to our WAF policy. So please do that, or confirm with the others in your office that they have sent the public IP address. Again, the test site and the email address is in the chat, so you could scroll up into the chat. It's right there. You may want to just copy and paste it somewhere so that you have it at the end. Let's see. What other, let's see my notes here. Okay. All right, so we're gonna start. As you can see, everybody could see my screen. This is a different dashboard. This looks different from what you've been logging into. The vendor that we use, Thomson Reuters, is now upgrading us to the next available version of the system that we had. So if we were on one, I'm gonna mix up the numbers because I'm not IT, but we were on a different version and we're now being pushed to 1.43. 1.43 allows the system to have public portal and e-filing all as one. So a combined system. So as you can see, it says public case dockets and electronic filings. So you'll no longer have to swap in between your e-file portal and your public access portal. You're going to be in one environment. You could use this as just as it is, as a public portal. So if I am not, affiliated with a firm or organization, and I really just want to go here on a personal level and I want to search for a case, or I want to do anything that could be done prior in public access, I could do that. So I could be Tamara personal and I want to go in here. I don't have to register. I don't have to log in. So I could still use it as a public portal. However, for you, those of you in the law firms and your organizations and agencies, you will most likely not be using this as a public portal. So you need to log in or register. Unfortunately, we're going to have to ask for you guys to re-register to be able to get into this environment, because it is different. It is now going to be where you have a email address for logging in. So one, and this is something that we experienced in the prior go live, is that many of you did not remember the email addresses that you used before. So everyone, myself included, IT staff had to go and we had to re-register to use this portal. So I know it is going to be a little tedious for you, but I'm going to ask that all the users in your office go in and register with their email address. I know that we do have a number of firms that use a generic email address to be able to get like your orders and stuff like that. That I'm not sure, because internally I could tell you guys I spent all yesterday trying to prep for this demo, only because we only got the release Thursday into Friday, and of course we had the storm and we were trying to prep for that. So I am not 100% sure on a lot of things for this demonstration, but I am trying my best to show you what is going to be needed, at least for you to assist us in testing. There's going to be a lot of questions, but the questions you have, like I said, send it on, put it on that form, send it in to that email address, and we're going to send all your questions on to the vendor. We also have questions, so I'm just saying that to say it's not a training that everybody knows everything right now. It's only for testing. So for the most part, you're going to have to re-register. I'm going to ask that for this purpose, just for me doing the demonstration, I have created some steps for me to create some email addresses only for the purpose of showing you what is going to be required. But everybody has to register. Attorneys have to register. Your staff has to register. Any user, anybody that's going to be using the portal must register. So I am going to, and just disregard my little pop-up there, because yesterday I was definitely testing to get ready for today. So I'm going to just create an email. Just something while you're testing, I wanted to raise this. If you want to use if you want to use an email address just for testing purposes, so for yesterday, I just created a test email, and that same test email, once you add a plus sign after, so for instance, this was testtamara48@gmail.com. If I add plus signs after the number or whatever the last field was, I could still get this into my regular email that was just Testamara48. I don't know if most of you know that, but if you add the plus sign, you don't have to go creating like 14 different email addresses. You could register using your email address. It may say that you're already a user, so you need to do something else. If it does that for testing purposes, and until we could clarify how the old users would get into the system, please just create a test email address. So email address just to get you in. You may want to, like for the firms that are larger, and if it's just you alone in the firm, it's probably easy. You could just put an email address in here that's going to be, with a number or something at the end. The AG's office, you guys could create something, maybe DOJ at, something DOJ1, DOJ2, assign numbers. I know firms that are larger, you guys have, maybe 10 people testing. So you could create your own email addresses or your user information. But the distinction for this one is that it is email address. A login is not just a username, it is your email address. The second step is going to be to send a verification code. That I have asked. I know that, this may become a little challenging. I don't want you to get like distracted by the verification code, but for the testing period, please just do the verification. I have already asked the vendor to see if there's anything we could do about sending the verification each time, but that may just be something that's standard. So in the email I did get my verification code by email. As you can see, this is my test email account, and I'm just going to enter my verification code. And now I'm gonna create a password. Somebody had a question? So I'm gonna use this. My first name I'm gonna give is demo, and then I'm gonna do demo support because I'm gonna name it different things. So this is basically me creating my username, my password. I'm gonna save that. It's gonna ask me for authenticator, phone number. This was already pre-saved because I did this yesterday. But once you put your phone number in, it will send you a text message so you could put your code in. So now it's allowing me to go through the steps of creating my account. So my first name, my last name, I'm gonna go to what type of user I am. So if I was an attorney, an interpreter, organization admin, or public user, I could make that distinction. For the most part, the staff in your office is gonna it's either gonna be attorney or organization administrator. So this step that I'm showing you guys, I know that most of you may not be the legal org admin, and that is the person who manages your organization through the system. So this is crucial for those of you who were or are going to be legal org admins. You could have multiple legal org admins in your firm, but this step is mainly for the one person who's going to do the organization administrator. For the most part, if you register, just register as a public user and then wait. So if I am, and I'm going to use Edna as an example at the AG's office. So if I'm Edna at the AG's office, I am the legal org admin, and I have 14 users under that firm, which is DOJ. I'm going to wait for all the users to confirm that they have registered. So I'm going to say user 1 through 14, please register. They're going to all register, but they're not going to choose anything except public, or if they're an attorney. If they're an attorney, they could do I'll show you the steps for the attorney separately. But if you're just a support staff, I ask that the legal org administrator take the lead on making sure you sign up as a legal org administrator, and then your support staff, you will bring them in to the organization in the steps that I'm going to show you next. But if it's just a user, a support staff, they need to just wait on you. So we're gonna just make sure that everybody understands that the support staff should not go in. If I'm not the legal org admin for that agency or that firm, please do not select organization administrator. That should only be for those people you have designated as such. So I am gonna go through and click that organization administrator, just so that we could bypass the step. And if you notice, of course, there's like a lot of messages that shows up on the screen. I'm actually logged in here. This is supposed to be my first and last name, and it's just my first and last name. It doesn't say on behalf of or anything. We have not reached that step yet. So I'm just gonna put in the preliminary information. So this step for the legal org admins, this step, please be careful when you are adding your organization. I know that there are some firms that, let's say you got migrated from our legacy environment, which was our previous data. Your law firm may have been named something else, 20 years ago. But please, if you're going to choose your organization at this point, you're going to have to choose the active organization. So just by example, and I'm not like picking on any firm or anything, but if I'm going to be a part of law offices of Lee J. Rohn and Associates, I need to choose the active organization. Most of you in the organization or the firm should know which one is active. So if you see multiple things show up here and you're not sure, please, even if it means calling the court or sending an email and saying, hey, which one is our active organization? We prefer you do that so that you could be affiliated with the right organization. This is only test. Yes, I understand that is test, but we want you to be as real to the process as possible. So if you know that your firm has multiple names or have had multiple names, please just ask a question before you go on. So we created this firm. It's a test firm. We created this one. This portion is going to ask you to provide a Word or a document. For the purpose of test, if you can just create a test document to input here and put it in as whatever, a test document. You don't have to put something real. However, and this is not something that we've delved too much into, but this is asking that you provide an ID proving your identity. And I think that you guys could all appreciate that you don't want just any and anybody saying that they're a part of the AG's office or another firm without some type of validation. I don't know what that looks like because we really haven't like delved into that. But before training, we are gonna get some answers for that portion for you so that you could understand, well, what do I need to do to prove that this person is a part of my firms? I don't think that anybody will want to bypass this step because, as you can see, a public user could simply just go in here and just keep going and say they're part of this organization. So you're gonna submit your request. So this is only, I'm just repeating it only because I know that some support staff is gonna do the wrong thing on this, and it's expected, it's test. But if the organization administrator does this alone for the first go around and only the user sign up to be a user, it would make your transition to this portal way easier. It's going to be more, successful if you do it the way that I'm suggesting, which is Your legal org admin, all your users sign up, but your legal org admin make the request to the court so that he or she could be pulled in as the legal org admin for this law office. So I'm submitting my request. This is going to go to the court staff that we would designate to assist with approving any of those requests. And I'm just going to show you, this is not training, but I'm just going to show you on the court side what that looks like. So in tests on the court side, the court would have received my request to be a legal org admin for a specific firm. So it says, I receive a user link request. It's going to come into the court. And then I am going to link this index entry to a person that we have set up here. What did I name it? Was it LOA? Karima, do you remember who I named this? What I named this to be? Test something. Let's see.
No, sorry.
Office manager test, I think it is. I believe. So we're gonna do our part on the inside to get you approved on your end. But before I click accept, I want to show you on your screen what you're going to be doing while the request is at the court. You're going to go through each of these tabs and make sure that everything is correct. So if your name is here, it was misspelled or not, you could correct it and save it, whatever your preferences are. If you want to say the Superior Court is your default court, you could save that as well. So whatever you need to do on your user profile while the request is being reviewed by the court, please go ahead and do that. The main thing on this side is going to be your notification preferences. I ask that you go in here automatically. As soon as you got that request sent off, please go to application and just highlight everything. And until such time that there is something that you are not interested in getting, my suggestion is to highlight everything that is under application. If you don't highlight it, when something comes in through the application, which is the C-Track public portal and the CMS system, you are not going to get that notification. So your notification preferences, at least for testing, I would suggest clicking the first checkbox and making sure that everything is checked and then save. So now that I have saved my notification preferences, when I get that approval from the court, I should see it in notifications. So as it stands, I am just a public user for now. I am only a public user. This is my user access. It shows me what, my access level is. So now that the court has accepted my request to be the organization administrator, I now have a notification that shows me that the court has accepted my user request. So I could view that. It shows that it was sent and it shows that it was accepted. And of course, I could mark that as read. So when I get that from the court, and like I said, don't worry about, if you take notes, it's fine. My step-by-step guide, should help you a little bit, when you're doing this on your own. The key step here after you've received your acceptance is to log out and then log back in. You have to log out and then log back in for the changes to take effect. So even though I was accepted, I have to log out and log back in. So I'm gonna sign back in. Yes, I am gonna get another authenticator code. I'm sorry about that. But that's just how it is right now. So now that I am logged back in, I am not sure how many of you noticed the change on this side, but the change is now including my tab for me to manage the organization. So now that I have this tab, I need to be able to work as a manager of that organization. So until, let me just, if you don't mind, let me add a few more users. I'm just gonna register 2 more users here. Um, should I do it and sign up? So this is just me repeating the steps that I did before, but I am registering a few more users. Oh my. I'm not gonna do anything with this one. I'm just gonna leave it as is. And then I wanna log out of this one and create another user who's gonna be the attorney. I think I use attorney already. All right, so I have my 3 users set up right now. I have a support staff, I have a admin person, and I have a attorney. So I am going to do this user as an attorney. And of course, in this, you guys are using your firm's information here. All right, so I've also submitted a request for the attorney to be submitted to the court. So as you can see, I did not do one for who would have been like my support staff, even though I named it admin, but that person was not submitted as a user. I only did the legal org admin and then the attorney now to be added as a user. So I'm gonna go in and I think I named it as attorney. Yes. All right, I'm gonna now accept this attorney in. And on the attorney's side, well, if I did not do my preferences, which was part of the test, was to show you that the court accepted me and I did not update my preferences yet. So of course I did not get the email or the notification that says that the court approved me. So I am going to update my preferences now so that I don't miss another notification. But for the most part, the attorney has been added. I'm going to log out of the attorney profile and then log back in. So for the attorney profile, this is what it looks like. This is me as the attorney. I'm working my own cases. I'm not working on behalf of anybody else. And this is my cases, my filings. I'm going to urge you, as like I said, this is not necessarily training. We expect that you go through these tabs and kind of try to test as much things in the tabs and all the different things as possible. I don't want to show you everything because I want to leave some of the things up to you to test so that you could give us some feedback on it. But for the most part, this is me as the attorney, and I'm looking at my filings, my cases, and all of the other things related to me as the attorney. But because it's crucial for us to get the legal org admin to bring all the users on board, I'm going to log in as the legal org admin again and then go from there. So actually, I'm going to go to the support staff one because that's the one that I made the admin, and I want to show you what we could do to make 2 admins or multiple admins in a firm, because I know most of you have multiple administrators in the firm. Okay, so this is me as the, it's named support, but I am also an administrator in that organization. So I want to now go and manage my organization. This is a crucial step. So my organization has users. When I go to the organization and the users, I have to add all the users that are registered under that organization. So please don't choose add support staff yet. You need to first add all your users. So every user, attorney, everybody that's in your firm, you need to add them. So if it's a add user, you have to know what email address they used for you to add them in. So I want to add my legal org admin person that I created. Of course, I can't type now. gmail.com. So now that I'm adding this legal org person, it gives me options. These are not highlighted to be selected, but I am speaking with the vendor to talk about this. I know there's gonna be some stuff that they didn't turn on for us because, testing reasons, you don't want stuff going haywire. But for the most part, if this person should also be an administrator in your firm, then you can select administrator. So if your firm has or your agency has 2 administrators, please select administrator in this instance. If the person is simply not a administrator and they're just a support staff and you're just adding the user, you could just save. So right now I have a legal org admin, and a support staff. My support staff right now is the administrator. So if I wanted to edit the role of this legal org admin and make that person an administrator as well, I would click administrator and save. So now I have 3 administrators in my, well, this was created before, but we have 3 administrators now in the firm. If I wanted to add the actual attorney, because of course the attorneys must be added before you could add a support staff to them. So I'm going to repeat that. The attorney must be added. So if you have 6 attorneys, 2 attorneys, 1 attorney in your firm, your agencies, they must be added for you to add support staff to file on behalf of that attorney. So I'm going to add my test attorney. And I'm not going to make that test attorney an administrator. I'm just going to add my test attorney. So I've added my attorney, I've added my legal org, I've added my support staff. So my attorney has 2 people that could file on behalf of him or her. So I am going to add the support staff for that attorney. The attorney must be highlighted. When you're adding support staff, you have to check the box in front of the attorney. So whichever attorney it is, my suggestion is going to be for the firms that are larger. If you have 4 or 5, whatever number of attorneys, that you add the support staff per attorney and then go down the list like that, so that you don't get confused, or that the support staff doesn't feel like, oh, I should be able to file on behalf of this attorney and X, Y, and Z, because those are the things that we've seen throughout the life of this case management system. So I'm just trying to save you the headache and suggest it in a way that you could do it more streamlined. So I'm going to add the support staff for this attorney. This section is going to show you everybody that is under your firm. So everybody that is a user, that should be a user, if you want to go in and add the demo admin and the demo support as people who could file on behalf of demo attorney, then that is what you do. So now if I go to this person's, once I go to this person, you will see when I log out and log back in, but we will see that now this person could file on behalf of this attorney. So the demo support staff and the legal org could file on behalf of this attorney. I suspect that those of you that has a large firm or multiple attorneys, you are going to have a long list that goes down here. But if you do it that way of attorney support staff, attorney support staff, attorney support staff, then that would make it easier for you. During the testing, I'm going to ask that you do things that are either unusual or usual. So if you feel like, okay, well, this person is no longer a part of the firm, I'm going to remove them. If you want to remove and add 2 other people, things like that. If you're going to take an attorney out, put in another one, those things are things that we expect for you to do during the testing. So now that I've added support staff and the legal org to be able to file filings on behalf of this attorney, I have to log out because I made a change. And I'm just gonna log back in as support staff. I'm so sorry for the log out, log in. I mean, it's measures that it's probably things that, you know, is necessary, because you really don't want, everything has an authentication now, even when you're using other apps. But for the most part, I didn't get my code. Oh, oh gosh. Let's see. I hit my number. Let's see if this is gonna let me do a code. So this is another profile, but let's pretend that this is support staff that I've already added on behalf of that attorney. Now that I'm logged back in as this support staff, as you can see, I now have an option that says on behalf of. So I am now in the role of, tester on behalf of this attorney, going to file whatever filings this attorney needs. If it is multiple attorneys and I could file on behalf of multiple attorneys, I will see a list here. So if I go into my profile, as long as it says as on behalf of or whatever, you have to go and choose the attorney that this is the same as you do now, but you got to be sure that you're paying attention to who you're filing on behalf of. It's the same thing. I know it's a pain point for a few people who has the ability to file for multiple attorneys, but that is really just how the system is set up. So if I were to be able to file for multiple attorneys, then I would choose which one I'm filing for. In the test portion, we're just going to say I'm filing on behalf of that attorney. And I'm also a legal org admin, so I could bring all my users in and I could make the attorneys and the support staff matching. If I am not logged in as the attorney support staff, I cannot see anything on this side related to the attorney. So I know this has been something that's been, again, a pain point for everyone that's working as a support staff, but I think this is a bit more resolved for you. If you log in, you should be able to see all of the filings that your attorney has made if you're on behalf of that attorney. So I'm on behalf of Attorney Test. I could see all of that attorney's filings, the attorney's cases that he or she is on, and so on and so forth. If it is a new filing that you're going to create, then you just follow the prompts and you do an actual new filing. For the most part, if any of you click on my hearings, during the testing period, we've already reported, because myself and the IT person, Karima, we've already been testing, and there is a glitch here with the subscription, because you're supposed to be able to take this and put it into your calendar so that you could accept calendar hearings, and you should be able to see all your hearings that the attorney is a part of. But this isn't working as it should right now, and we've already reported that. So if it resumes or if it fixes during your testing period, then we will maybe send a few of you a note saying, hey, could you test this for us? We won't be able to send a blast to everyone, because as you can see, I had to send an email to your groups so that it doesn't congest the system. So if you get an email that says, hey, could you test this for me real quick? That's just for you. Meaning, most of you I have at my fingertips, so I could just say, hey, could you test this real quick for me? Because we resolved it on the back end and we need to test it to make sure that it's working. If you get a test email, some of you may and some of you may not. That is another thing that we are working with the with the vendor to resolve. Once that is resolved, then the court could send emails back from our CMS to you. And then, once you send your filings, we get it. But if it's going to be an email that is going out from our system, we have to do some further configurations on that. So for the most part, it might be at the latter end of testing period that you get like an email saying, hey, could you go ahead and tell us if you received an email from the court? And it may be a different email address as well. It may not be the no reply CTRAC. It will be a different email address. So I will have to tell you, hey, look out for an email from this test site, test email address, and then you could tell me if you got it. And then, of course, in your test form, if you got it and it was successful and you received what the court sent, then we ask that you put it on the test form and say, yes, I received it. It was successful, like without delay or something like that. The key things I am going to share is that you have to log out and log back in when there's any changes saved. So if your LOA, your legal org admin, adds you as a support staff, you have to log out, log back in. Those things are only one-time occurrences, meaning you shouldn't have to do it because they're not adding you as a support staff all the time. But if you do change attorneys or something happens and you have to be added or taken away from one of the attorneys' rights, then yes, you will have to log out and log back in. Let's see. I think at this point I could stop and say, oh, I wanted to raise something on the home screen. So on the home screen, like I said, it is dual. So it's a public portal and electronic filings. If I am on the prior system, you had to go in and we had to add the attorney to the system and all of that to make sure that you had case access. If you test request case access, like if there is a case where you think you want access to, or there's a case for some reason you should be on, there is a specific button that says request case access. So you don't necessarily have to send an email saying, hey, I'm not on here. You could actually do the request electronically. So you could request it. I want to be on this case number because I'm supposed to be on it. This is also asking for like an ID, and then you would submit your requests. Oh, I already have access to the case. All right. Let's want to try to use my test cases because so something like this would come in to the court again. So this would be saying that, you know, this person wants access to this case, and then we go ahead and grant the request if it's valid. And of course, internally, we'll have our measures to deal with that. But I just wanted to show you guys that there is a capability for you to do that on here. Subscription on this tab, just to point out the difference, this is not subscription to the case. So I've already asked the vendor to see if this is something that could be removed because it's really probably not applicable. It's related to like subscribing for copies and stuff like that. That may not be something that we use, but we're gonna kind of delve into it a bit more with the vendor. But if it's something that you will not use, we would ask that we're asking the vendor to gray it out or just not make it an option. But it is not, I wanted to raise that because I know a few of you have become professionals in doing the subscriptions for your attorney so you could see the case and all of that. But this is not the same thing. Subscription here means something totally different. So you don't have to subscribe to the case here. As long as you're logged in as for this attorney, you will see all of the attorney's cases. You will see all the hearings that this attorney is supposed to be going to once that is fixed. But for the most part, you don't have to do that separate subscription. And then once we get our calendar, that URL fixed that you could actually see the hearings, you would see this as well. So I did on my step-by-step guide, on my little guide to you, I will note the things that you should be looking out for. We will let you know when that training will be. I believe it's sometime in September that we may be doing the training for external staff or external users. So once I get that information, we will pass it on, try to pass it on as early as possible. For those of you who joined late, I'm going to ask that you please submit your public IP addresses, send them to that email thread that I sent to you initially so that I could pass that on to my IT person, because you are not going to be able to access the test site unless we have you as a part of our policy. We got that information a little late from the vendor, so I do apologize for sending that so late. But yes, we do need your public IP addresses. If you've received my thumbs up and we said, okay, yes, we got it, you're good, then you are free to begin testing. The forms that I sent, I asked that you please send the information on the form with the screenshot. So if let's say I got an error while I was doing something, I need to take a screenshot of that In addition to the form that I'm going to be sending, I'll do the screenshot, put it in a Word document, and then send the email. But the screenshots are not just like busy work. It is for us to allow us internally and the vendor to recreate your error. So if there is something that's not working, we need to see the steps that you were taking. So you would put in your email on your form, you'll put, I was trying to update something, and this popped up as an error. And then you have to screenshot the error message, attach it to your form, and send it to that email address that I have in the chat. So let's see my chat here. Okay, thank you, Karima, for managing the chat. Any questions? Anybody has questions for now, so that we could address some of your preliminary concerns before you delve into testing? Any questions? Let me see. Do I have Office of Public Defender on? Is there anybody here from Office of Public Defender? Oh, I don't think.
Yes, hello.
Okay, I see you. Okay, I see two people. Okay, I just want to be sure that and I only asked because AG's office, public defender, and then I have a few firms that have a vast number of users. So I'm making sure that you guys were included, one, and then two, that you are able to test so that you could provide that information. If you're on the call and you're just like a sole practitioner, you have no support staff, you have no LOA, and you want to be the LOA, the legal org admin, you can do that. But as long as you register as a user, as the attorney, you are fine. You should be able to see everything that you need to see. But like I said, there are going to be questions as you go through the system. And if you have questions, put it on that form in the question section. But for the most part, I had a number of people as testers. I only see a handful on here, but I am gonna pass it out. I know a lot of people would not have been able to make it at 3, but I will circulate the test guide that I created, and then the form again if necessary. So if no questions, wait a minute. Was Attorney Handy on? Yes, Attorney Handy, and where's my bar admission stuff? Well, we'll have a separate meeting for that. All right. If no questions, I thank you once again for agreeing to participate in our test pool. And if you have any questions before you start testing and you want to shoot me a quick email or whatever, that's fine. But once you've started testing and you're getting feedback from your testing, I ask that you use the form, use the email address, and submit it to that email address specifically. So the email address, CMSF as in Frank, B as in boy, test group at vicourts.org. And then, of course, the site that you're going to go to, I put that in the chat as well, USVI public portal UAT. So you must be in the test site for you to be able to do anything. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to raise. If at any point any of you are testing something in an active case that you have current with the court, and for any reason, please pass this along to your testers and your users. If for any reason you see anything in your test site coming over to like your real case, meaning you were testing something and then it happened to come over in your active live court case, please stop immediately and call us. And those of you who have my cell or my phone number, I ask that you call immediately and just stop what you're doing. because that would mean that there is a problem. So we don't want you to continue and then there's something happening in our live environment that we're not aware of. But yes, for the most part, please pass that along as well. Okay, the email address is, if you scroll up in the chat, it was, I'll put it in again though, but it's CMS. Let me copy email address. Let me just copy it and put it here again. So this is the email address. Thank you, Jerry. This is email address, and then this would be the website here. All right. So any questions? If not, then this form. Okay, the form I sent to you guys individually. Like meaning if I sent your like I sent emails saying team DOJ, team Westfall, all of that stuff, team public defender. If in that email, I believe I sent the form, it's supposed to be a fillable form that you're gonna use. But if not, if you have not received that form, that feedback form, then I'm gonna send it again. Because I don't know if I could do it here. Yeah, I'll send it again to all of you in those groups that I sent, those email groups that I sent. All right, so for the most part, we are done. If you don't have any questions, then we will see you throughout the week with email forms and your feedback. Again, thank you guys. Your deadline is the 28th to submit those forms. And we ask that if you have, let's say the Department of Justice has one person, it would be much easier if everybody submits their form to that one person. That one person uploads all of the packages so that we could get it in an email, and that should happen daily. We understand that you have your own work to do, so if you can't do it daily, that's fine, but every other day maybe. We don't want to wait. What we don't want is for you to wait until the 28th and then send us 40 forms. That's going to be highly unreasonable for us to try to go through all of your issues, and maybe some things aren't issues and we could resolve ourselves, but we wouldn't know until we get the form. So if you can, every day, at the end of the day, just send your forms and your feedback with your screenshots. If not, and everything is successful and you just have your forms with no screenshots, then you send those as well. All right, so I'll send the forms again, or you could just shoot me an email if you didn't get the form, but I'm pretty sure most people got it. But if you didn't, then I'll send the form again.
Good afternoon, Veronica's here. Been here.
Hi, Attorney Handy.
Hi.
You had a question, Attorney Handy?
No, I did.
Oh, you're just marking your attendance. Yeah, I see that you're on, Attorney Handy. All right, so that's it. Thank you everyone for joining and for agreeing to be part of our test group. All righty, have a good afternoon. Let's see.
Have a good afternoon.
back. It's still in the chat. Okay, recording. What is stopped? Let me see.